ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you. Councillor Gallagher.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the land of the Winnicarli people, and pay respect to those elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Chandler.
We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who are part of the 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler. Public forum session. The first public forum session will consider submissions from the public on matters listed for consideration. There is nil registrations. Bob, would you like to say anything? No, we have one member of the public, nil, to say. Minutes for confirmation. Can we have a mover for the minutes?
Move the minutes.
Councillor Hickey, seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Allgate. Any comments on the minutes? All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors' disclosures of interest. Any disclosures of interest?
I have one, Mayor Kennedy. Further reports item 1, correspondence report for club grants. I declare a non-pecuniary interest, general manager of a local registered and licensed club that partakes in the club grant scheme, and I'll leave the chambers.
Thank you. Item number 1 is Merrill Minute, project support for CBH. The Merrill Minute be received. The council writes relevant government ministers and members to request that all reasonable government measures be undertaken as a matter of urgency to expedite the Horsens, Cobalt Blue and Hydrosaur CAES projects, that Cobalt Blue project be prioritised for any available assistance given Australia's participation in the Critical Minerals and Clean Energy Transformation Compact with the United States. With the United States. We have seconder for that? Seconded, Deputy Mayor Hickey. Anyone like to speak to that? Just to add to that that motion, if the Councillor Hickey accepted, the council also write to the relevant ministers requesting that smart and skilled program funding and criteria be reviewed to assist Broken Hill in the wake of the Ross mine closure. The council requests that all redundant workers in Broken Hill and mining or related industries become eligible for subsidised training under the Smart and Skilled program, and that locals in mining or related industries looking to upskill be considered for subsidised training regardless of their current employment status. The registered training organisations be empowered to make group applications to Smart and Skilled on behalf of potential trainees rather than the required individuals to contact the funding body. Happy to accept that. So this is a really important resolution to pass. We have already lost 49 people from the Ross mine. Projects like Cobalt Blue could have happened early next year. Instead, they'll be happening towards the end of the final quarter of the year or even early 2025. We need to ensure that where the government can help, that they do help to fast track these projects to ensure people that are currently employed at the Ross mine, if that does close, that they go straight into skilled employment to keep them in the city rather than travel outside the city and become fly in, fly out of Broken Hill. We can't, as a community, afford to lose those essential workforce, especially coming into a time in the next 12 to 18 months where we need those people more than ever. It's also important that the people that are made redundant have the opportunity to upskill to potentially have other jobs in the meantime. As it is currently, you have to be unemployed to receive a lot of these upskilling trainees. So good for government to do that. Any other speakers? Councillor Page.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, could we have included in I support what you're proposing
with in regard to training, could we have included in that we could have pre-apprenticeship training added to it? Because we've got a lot of young people coming on board and leaving school and need training. So can we have that included in that? If you don't
We
mind?
certainly can do
Thank
that.
you.
So that's one of the areas where they do provide it, but what you're more or less saying is even if they're employed, we want them to be able to be trained. So given that there will be a shortage of skilled labour over that time, just if it could be written to accommodate those. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Supplementary agenda item, Merrill Minute. That it be received that council writes to the New South Wales Premier, the Honourable Chris Minns, MP, the Minister for Regional New South Wales, Western New South Wales, the Honourable Tara Moriarty, MP, and the Member for Barwon, Mr. Roy Butler, stating its dissatisfaction with the current trajectory of newly created Regional Development Trust and Working Regionals funds, and that mining communities receive funding priority under the Regional Development Trust and Working Regions Fund in the same proportions allocated previously through the Resources for Regions Fund. We have a seconder for that. Second, Councillor Gallagher. Move this because there was a number of councillors that were at the round table, the general manager as well. What was quite obvious at that fund, it's $350 million that has been put into this new fund, which come out of two existing funds, one of them being the Resources to Regions, which contributed up to about $4 million per year to the Broken Hill economy. This new fund is $350 million spread out over 450 towns. So if you just look at an average, you're looking at 750,000. It was asked at that meeting whether the Resources to Regions, is there a component there to keep the mining communities that relied on that? Is that money being set aside or part of the Act going to include that? It was quite obvious that there is nothing in that. The minister did state to me personally there was nothing in it. The response from the floor, there was nothing in that. We will, as a council, continue to push for that. But it's really important that our local member, Roy Butler, understands that the Resources to Regions is too important to let it go under the guise that it was supplied under pork barrelling. It was not supplied under pork barrelling. It was supplied to resource regions like Broken Hill have contributed greatly to not only the wealth of New South Wales, but the wealth of the country. The royalties that we've paid and the amount of money that has come out of those mines have kept the infrastructure of New South Wales and the federal government going during the First World War and part of the Second World War. This is really contributing back to the people that put up with the mining industries. We have air quality issues, we have infrastructure damaged issues, a lot of things that come from mining that normal city folk don't have to deal with, or people that aren't invested in mining. It also allows us to spend that money at an opportunity during boom and bust. And when we do have busts as a community, we can lose up to thousands of people out of our community and prices of houses plummet. Banks are reluctant to lend money. During boom periods, prices go up significantly, and it's not so important that it's important that council continue to spend money because you want to make sure that the infrastructure and the resources are there, but particularly in those bust periods, you want someone to keep the confidence of the community. So our local member, Roy Butler, needs to understand that. The other thing that was a little bit of a concern is, and we're talking about 7 faceless people making decisions on how money's being spent instead of a minister that actually was quite quick to understand what issues were not only facing Broken Hill, but other regional towns. And I did ask her about some of the things facing Wagga or facing Dubbo. The minister was quite aware of a lot of the small things that faced in the community. Councillor Hickey did mention just earlier about the dog fence and how quickly that was fixed. And that was fixed simply because the minister understood the importance of the dog fence. The 7 people that they're picking, we don't know. They've got no link to it. They won't understand the individual projects. Really important that the minister remains involved with the funding and is able for councils like ours to speak directly to her or through our local member, Roy Butler. So I'd hope that this correspondence is received well from both of them. Any other speakers? Councillor Page and Councillor Gallagher.
Yes, Mr Mayor, we seem to miss out on all these fundings that have been introduced over the last 50 odd years. And, you know, this one, it's an insult to the hardworking people in the outback, because these are the people that are affected in the mining industry, the outback. And if you like to go back and have a look at the local government funding, used to be 2.9% of GDP. Now it's less than 1%. And then if you look at the big city councils, they're hugely financial. They are viable. And the way the funding's calculated on the local government FAGS funding, we in the outback are suffering for over a long time frame. So all these issues have got to be dealt with. If they want the people in the outback, they have to look at the structures of these funding. They are broken, the systems, they don't work for us in the outback, and the politicians know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're not prepared to do anything about it. And if they're not going to do anything, whether they're Labor, Liberal or National, people in the outback should start kicking them out. They shouldn't be there. They know we suffer in the outback, and it's a bloody insult what they're proposing in this restructure, the same as the FAGS funding. It's unacceptable and unworkable for us in the outback.
Agreed. Councillor Gallagher.
Yeah, just quickly, Mayor Kennedy, I commend the mayoral minute. I think it's a great thing. You know, as we were at that meeting, $350 million for this part of the region. Where's regions start? Where does regions finish? They can't even explain that. $350 million. It's just ludicrous. It's an insult to the regions, and I mean regions, not metropolitan area, regions of New South Wales. We've suffered badly with a lot of things. Yeah, with as I said, the measly $350 million spread up between 40 areas is ludicrous. The 7 faceless people that are going to be on this board, they can't even get that right yet. They can't even tell us who, which, where, when it was going to start, when it's going to finish, and when this money is going to be allocated. It's disgusting to the regions, parts of New South Wales, and I commend this letter to go to the minister and other relevant areas.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Any other speakers? Look, I have no doubt that this is done with the best of intentions. The reality is it's not going to work. It's going to affect particularly the mining communities firstly, and then, as was also stated at that meeting, the councils with the bigger voices are going to be the councils that get the most money. The ones that are going to be able to sell themselves, whether it's 7 faceless people, the minister or whatever, it will be the councils that are able to sell themselves best, when we need to ensure that resources, a region or a similar project, similar pool of money is put aside for the communities that will lose out. And one of the communities that will lose out is this community of Broken Hill. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Nil notices a motion, nil rescission motions, reports from delegates.
Yes, Mayor Kennedy, if I could give a verbal report on Country Mayor's meeting.
Yeah.
Firstly, just thank council for allowing General Manager himself to attend the meeting. They're becoming very, very popular, Country Mayors. There's over 120 delegates at this latest one. And you know, it concerns everybody. We're all in the same thought pattern. We're not in the cities. And I think, and we had a very good showing from ministers. So the Federal Minister, Christy McBain, Premier Chris Minns, Minister for Skills, TAFE and Education was the Honourable Steve Wan, Minister for Water, Housing and Mental Health and Youth and everything else, Honourable Rose Jackson, Shadow Minister for Agriculture and Natural Resources, Dougal Saunders, Shadow Treasurer and Shadow Minister for Industrial Relations, Damien Tudor-Hope, and Steph Cook, who is also the Crown Lands Shadow Minister. and there's numerous other ministers drop in. So as you can see, as against the LG New South Wales conference, there's a lot more politicians prepared to turn up at the country mayors, and you get to speak to them, as they're leaving, you quite often grab their ear. And I think it's pretty valuable to be able to do that. There's 85 members now, member councils, 2 associate members, which I disagreed with. They let Newcastle in, and that I don't think that should be in, but just as associates, they're not country. Central Darling were approved for the latest member into it. And there was a lot of discussion about the resources for regions and building better communities and the dropping out of all those funds. A lot of these councils wanted to get in on the resources for regions, and have been trying to, Forbes and that, for some time. And they say, well, we have our miners drive through our electorate to get to mines, we should get some. And it was a total jealousy thing. It was an absolute jealousy thing, but they're not the ones that put up with all the extra that have running a mining town. They don't have all that, and they don't see it. They just want to get a grab of the pie, and now they can get their grab of the pie out of this new bloody 350 million. Most of the complaints at the thing was about the LG New South Wales conference, and it's a pity that Councillor Turley's not here, because I was personally copped a lot of flack at it, because I'm a councillor on this council, and because Mayor Turley's the chair, or the Councillor Turley's the chair, and the divide between country and city is just getting wider and wider, and there's criticism was all over them. I think most country mayors were ready to drop out of the LG conference, and so many of them said that they won't go anymore. They'll just focus on the country mayors and do that. Even the new mayor of Wentworth said, well, he's been to both, and he's only brand new to it. He's been to both, and he said, well, I probably won't go to LG again. I'll just go to the mayor's one. So, it says a lot about what's going on in the country, and I think the mayor's one's much more appropriate for Brokenhill. Thank you.
Have any comments about that? Look, there, I did note one thing that was said is Newcastle is now part of the Country Mayors Association. That goes to tell you, Councillor Gallagher, where the new regional fund and who they'll include. You'll have Wollongong and Newcastle counted as regional New South Wales, and that's some of the things we face. They're big cities. They're not regional areas, but that's what we'll be facing.
As I always said, Mayor Kennedy, New South Wales stands for Newcastle, Sydney and Wollongong.
Too true. So can we have a mover that it, Councillor Allgate?
I was just going to say, Mayor Kennedy, that the history of the Local Government Association has always been city dominated, city centric. It pays little attention to the problems in the bush or in the really remote areas, and this is a classic example of it. At least the Country Mayors Association may have a bit more pull as time passes, because they will have a voice, and hopefully the voice will be listened to.
Thank you. Councillor Ethan? No. So could we have a mover that the report be received, seconded, moved Councillor Changas, seconded Councillor Gallagher. If would you like to further, Councillor Hickey, that we actually write off to LG New South Wales, giving some of your thoughts and the feedback that we received on how the running of this year's LG didn't stack up?
Yeah, Mayor Kennedy, because I think they need to know, and that's why I was hoping Councillor Turley to be here to take it back, but she's not here, and but no, they need to know, because, well, we all pay into it and we all should be there, but there's some of the ridiculous motions. If you were sitting at that meeting, it's just ridiculous stuff that shouldn't even have come across the table, and wasted hours and hours of time debating and never got to the important issues. It was garbage.
So if you could just liaise with the staff about what could be. Councillor Gallagher, are you happy to move that? Second to Councillor Chandler?
More than happy.
Yeah. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We have a.
Mayor Kennedy, I have an urgent motion, if I could.
Yep.
Do I do that now? It's about the fruit fly. And I've been in contact with from Adelaide. South Australian things. Do
Yeah.
you want me to?
So do you have a mover to have it dealt with? Would you like it dealt now?
Oh,
at the end
might
of
as
the
well do it
meeting?
now. Or-
Can we have a
Move.
mover that to bring it up? Move councillor Page, seconded councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Hickey.
Yeah, thanks,
Deputy Mayor
Becky.
Hickey.
One, the council right to Mr. Tim Grieger, Executive Officer of Summerfruit and Citrus SA, and Chairman Mark Doak, and thank them for their interest in helping set up a plan for eradicating fruit fly in Broken Hill. Two, an invitation be forwarded to Tim and Mark, inviting them to come to Broken Hill with a proposal and suggestions from their expertise for the Broken Hill City Council to formulate a submission to the DPI and New South Wales Government seeking funding. And three, that the members of the council's 355 Fruit Fly Committee be invited to attend this discussion once a date has been set.
Have a seconder for that? Councillor Page, councillor Hickey.
Right, thank you. So what's happened is this, I've had numerous, and I mean numerous complaints from people about the fruit fly that nobody's getting anything. A guy rang me again today and said he's just buried 3 bags of plums or something, and just not one was any good. He put in plastic bags. He did it all right, but and I think, Mayor, you've had comments. Numerous councillors have had comments, and that we've gone out and done the trapping part, but it just doesn't seem there's not enough people involved in it. There's not enough people doing it, and it's not. Johnny Nissen, who grows a lot of fruit and everything, he's just pulled all these out and just stopped growing. And we've got to change it. And I heard this guy speaking on radio several times. I ended up ringing him and had to talk to him. He's more than keen to come to Broken Hill. He sits on the fruit fly board. They've had a program called SIT, which is Sterile Insect Technology Program. They trialled it in Cobram, where they release infertile males to propagate the females, and it doesn't happen. The females think they're happy, away they go, but they lay no eggs and nothing happens. So in 2 years, they've just about eradicated out of Cobram, and that's a fairly intense fruit growing area with a lot of small towns around it. So it's pretty hard to control that area. Renmark, he tells me that they only had caught 1,700 fruit flies this year, which is down by thousands on previous. And he reckons by next year they'll eradicate it back out of the riverland, which is a fantastic result. But he also said he would love to have Broken Hill as a trial for us, because he believes that within 2 years we'd be absolutely fruit fly free by bringing in these sterile insects, letting them go at the right times, doing it all probably, trapping as well. He said you still got to trap for a couple of years just to make sure you eradicate whatever you can. But they're quite prepared to put together a program for us, come up and talk to us and see what we think and see if we get some funding to do it. He's email, and I'll just read his email to you. Thank you for the call. Great to chat. I understand you're concerned about the impact of fruit fly with the residents of Broken Hill. I'm keen to offer information that may be of any assistance and look forward to continuing this conversation. I'll give some thought in our suggested approach strategy and what might be realistically achieved in doing that. I want to consult my counterparts in the fruit fly eradication, but I'll be back to you within the next few days. So I just, yeah.
Councillor Page.
Yes, I fully support what has been said, and I'm glad you've taken it on board, because our committee have made a huge effort, and but we haven't had any success at all. The last 3 years, including this year, I've lost all my fruit. So I'm glad, you're prepared to do something about it, because unless we take the next step and be re-included in the zone and dealt with, it's going to go on forever. So I'm glad you brought it up, and fully support what you're proposing. And it's whether we get funding from the state government, someone's got to pay the bill, and I think the state government should be asking what can they do about fixing the problem. It's got to be fixed. I love my fruit trees, but I've been thinking the last few days of taking some of mine out, because we get not 1 ounce of fruit. It's a bloody heartbreaking situation. So well done, and thank you very much.
What I did like about this was that Councillor Hickey did say that they believe that as Broken Hill as a case study, you can cost effectively eradicate fruit fly in areas where there is sporadic fruit trees, rather than just going with orchards. So This is as much about these people proving to the state and federal government that eradication can still work, rather than let it spread and then pay the price of whatever it costs to lose your fruit. Where places like Broken Hill and that, we don't have big amounts of money. We end up with a town that just grows no fruit and veg, which is bad for the social effects of people. It affects people's depression. People love gardening. People love growing fruit. So really important. If the mover would also, when it says that the members of the council's 355 Fruit Fly Committee be invited to attend the discussions of the date, if we could just have a second one, it might be appropriate also to, at the time, have a public meeting and invite all.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. I did think that, and I did mention it to him. He said, well, maybe that's a little bit premature, that maybe if we do it more as a group for starters, and he gives his thing, we try and get some funding, then we have a general meeting from there.
Right.
Get everybody in the town involved. We have call a full general meeting then.
Well, it might be even appropriate if he's not there, we still have a general meeting anyway, because I think the public would like to know what we're doing about. Yeah, so I'll leave that one up to you to do that. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 14 is the committee reports. Works Committee, item number 1, budget review, ground floor refurbishment for the temporary library. Move Councillor Page, seconded Councillor Boland. Councillor Page?
No, you're right, Mr. Mayor. I'm just happy to move it.
No worries. Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Just reading through the report, it's a building that's getting on in age a little bit. There's always discoveries that you find when you start pulling things apart, and obviously when the building was starting to be pulled apart on that ground floor, a lot of old wiring and redundant plant and equipment was discovered. So that's just part and parcel with refurbishing old buildings, which I certainly am well aware of myself as well.
Yeah, look, money well spent. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2 is budget review, CBD banner poles, Argent Street lighting project. Mover for that.
Move the
Move Councillor Allgate.
recommendation.
Seconded Councillor Page. Councillor Allgate?
I think the report is self-explanatory, Mayor Kennedy, but I think the important thing is that the banner pole project is completed the way I'll read the report. But there's been some as a result of some expert advice, upgrading of the lighting designs for the Argent Street section, and the banner poles now apparently are capable of taking CCTV, Wi-Fi, and the installation of public speakers. So, beautification and improvements in the CBD are important, not only for the local community, but for people who visit Broken Hill. And I'm of the view that the $41,820 that's been additional expenditure to complete the project is well worthwhile.
Yes, agreed. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is project consultative group projects. Councillor Hickey,
move that.
seconded. Councillor
Seconded.
Allgate. Councillor Hickey?
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, that was a really good meeting now, the Project Consultative Committee meeting. Very informative, and I'll just rip through a few of the things that are happening so that people listening and that know what's going on and what council are doing. And both Elmer Oval change rooms and the Norm Fox change rooms are upgraded, all on track. Modular buildings to be sourced to align with budget and minimise disruption. The library, the major work on the temporary library is completed. Floor coverings to be installed very shortly, I think mid-January, and that'll be up and running. Then the new library, 70% of the design drawings have been received. Cost plan 1, the DA stage within budget. CBD redevelopment, a lighting design which we just spoke of has been considered and is up for quotation. Wayfinding project is nearing completion. The town square, the design is 70% completed. Airport master plan, as previously presented to councillors, which looks really great, and I think everybody is really impressed and happy about that. Warnock Warnock Depot, 100% technical design has been endorsed by councillors. DA lodged. EP O'Neill project, previously waiting on electrical design, has now been received in hand. Finalisation of the 100% design should be very shortly. As you can see, there's a lot of progress happening within the city, and most of it's all on track and being kept a good eye on.
Yeah, excellent. Any other speakers? All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 4, minutes of the E.T. Lamb Memorial. Councillor Gallagher.
Move that way.
Seconded. Councillor Allgate, Councillor Gallagher.
No, it's all the reports. Good to see it's up and running, and we've got a committee to get that able back up and running for the south and for everything else.
Thank you. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Health and Building, item number 1 is the Friends of the Flora and Fauna. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that way.
Move Councillor Gallagher, seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey, Councillor Gallagher.
No, reports in front of you.
Yeah, all in favour? Carried unanimously. Policy in general, item number 1, Code of Conduct Complaints, Statistical Annual Report.
Move the recommendation.
Councillor Allgate, seconded. Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickey, Councillor Allgate.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I think this is a pleasing report. It clearly shows that there were only 3 in the period of review. There were only 3 code of conduct complaints. But the important thing is 2 of the 3 were managed, or the processing were managed internally and incurred no cost whatsoever. The 3rd went to investigation and incurred a cost of $11,000 odd. The important thing that this brings to bear is the fact that if all 3 had have gone to investigation to a conduct reviewer, it could have cost $30,000 or more. We've seen that in the past. We don't want to see it in the future. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a good move that some of these frivolous complaints are dealt with internally by the people involved, the mayor and the general manager, and the gain is seen by the lack of expenditure being employed, and I hope that trend continues. I hope in the long term we get no code of conduct complaints. That should be everybody's aim.
Yeah, look, I like how quickly they were dealt with and cost effectively. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, adoption of draft mandatory notification of data breach.
move that
Councillor
way.
Boland, seconded.
Good.
Councillor Allgate, Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I sit on the Audit and Risk Committee as well, and this was part of our audit procedures during the year, where they stress tested council's facilities on cyber attacks and how the systems hold up, and they hold up really well. And it's such an important item that everybody needs to be aware of, even for our older people in the community that may not be on the computer. Everybody's details are online, and it's good to be able to report back to the community that we have a strong system in place, and we shouldn't have to rely on mandatory notification, or you hope that it would never happen with the systems we've got in place.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is adoption of reviewed credit card policy. We have a mover, Councillor Allgate, seconded.
Move the recommendations.
Seconded. Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Allgate, speak with that.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Another good report. There was just from reading the report, there was a review of that particular policy carried out in June 23, and there appeared to be no significant areas of non-compliance. And at that time, or soon after, a full review was taken. The updated policy has been approved by the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee, and strengthened policy meets all the requirements of the Act, and you can't expect any more than that.
All in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, nomination for the appointment of community representatives to the Section 355 Friends of the Flora and Fauna Barrier Ranges. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Moved councillor Boland,
Seconded.
seconded councillor Allgate, councillor Boland.
All written there, always good to see, community members putting their hands up. So you never, always good to get a report like that.
All those in favour, carried unanimously. Item number 5 is the Youth Advisory Committee meeting held October 24.
Move that way.
Councillor Boland, seconded, councillor Gallagher, councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is an important committee. I haven't been able to get along to many through the year because of conflicts with work, but I certainly keep an eye out on the minutes that come through. And this is an important committee. I remember back how strong it was when I was a teenager, and I'd love to see it get back that way again, and I'm sure it will. And it's great to see. And this is one committee we really need to look after and nurture, because the youth of our city is our future.
Thank you. All those in favour, carried unanimously. We move to further reports. Item number 1. Councillor Boland is leaving the room, has a conflict of interest. We have a mover for that. Deputy Mayor
move that way with amendment.
Hickey, seconded,
Second,
councillor
I've
I've
Gallagher.
got an amendment with that.
Yeah, you got amendment?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, to add number 3, that corresponds be forwarded to the Honourable David Harris, thanking him for his correspondence, however advising him the category 2 grants are the smaller grants, which are used to support local sporting bodies, etc. It's imperative that these be left for the Broken Hill Club Grants Committee and the Broken Hill City Council to allocate these funds.
You've got that, please. Yeah. You like to speak? You're happy to accept that, councillor Gallagher?
Most definitely.
Councillor.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Just reading the correspondence, and they talk about, that, Broken Hill's okay because you have 75% of category is ones, but they don't mention the category 2, and we believe that category 2 is that going to go back to Sydney to be allocated, which is just not good enough for here. And our sporting bodies, all those footy clubs are missing out because Sydney people don't know what we do out here. And I think it's imperative the money's earned here, let it stay here. Thank you.
Right, councillor Gallagher.
Yes, I echo the comments of Deputy Mayor Hickey. They should be left in abeyance of what as they are. Let us, the local area, make their own decision, because, between point A to point B, it costs a lot of money. We want active kids, we want active communities, and that's the best way to go for this assistance from the community, from the club grants.
Yeah, sure. Look, the category 2 grants are really important. They're the ones that the normal sporting clubs go after, the sporting clubs, social clubs, etc. They're smaller amounts of money, often around that $5,000, between $1,000 and $5,000. They're easily applied for and can be given quickly via the club board, as opposed to having to go through the grant system. If they do bring in a grant system, then it needs to be effectively very quickly, and it needs to be done in a similar way to category 1. We certainly don't want to see those category 2 grants leaving the city, because that will have major impacts on all our sporting and social clubs in town. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Someone grab councillor Boland. That was defeated, councillor Boland. No, there was an extra bit added. So it's the recommendation and that correspondence be sent saying that we need to retain category 2 club grants in the city as well. Move on to item number 2, correspondence report, childcare in Broken Hill. Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickey, seconded. Councillor Allgate, Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor Kennedy. Yeah, look, the minister did write back to us and tell us what we already knew, and didn't add much more. She said that, there's all arrangements made where they could have extra children, but it's only very temporary stuff, and it's only under essential circumstances. And so it doesn't really help do anything for us, except that, on the odd occasion, but it doesn't give the average one, more kids to be able to look after anything. So it didn't help our problem at all.
No, so you're happy to receive the report and write back that we actually should be, wherever we can, the importance of freeing land up, Crown land up to increase numbers.
Yeah.
because there was an opportunity for family daycare there to be administered from different services. So let's just let them know that we do have a plan, but we need their help as much as possible as well. Happy with that? With the second, councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Oh, sorry, councillor Page. Yes, councillor Page. Hey. Oh, yep, no worries. So all those in favour, councillor Gallagher, councillor Boland, councillor Allgate, councillor Chandler, councillor Hickey, and myself, against councillor Page. Item number 3 is council attendance at the New South Wales Australian Local Government Women's Association. We have a mover for that.
Move recommendation number 1 only.
Righto.
Second that.
Second to councillor Allgate. We have no one here that wants to attend, I assume. So can we just, can we have it be received and that interested parties contact or let themselves be known for the next meeting? Happy with that?
Ask a question, Mayor Kennedy.
Yeah,
Is the New South Wales Local Government Women's Association still in existence? And they have a conference as well,
that's still in existence.
as distinct from the Australian New South Wales Local Government.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they're two separate ones,
Two
aren't
separate.
they? They're both still in existence. Yes, yeah. Yeah, this is the New South Wales version of it.
But there's 2 conferences, one for New South Wales.
Yes,
One
yeah,
for Australian New South Wales.
yeah.
Well, why do we need to attend 2?
I will let's just move that it be received, and if there is any interest by councillors, they can let us know at the January meeting.
Okay.
You happy with that, councillor?
Yes.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee meeting held 23rd of November.
Move that way.
Moved councillor Boland, seconded Deputy Mayor Hickey. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I was in attendance at this meeting. The Broken Hill City Council is always well ahead of the ball with the Audit Risk and Committee, but there was some very upset people on the committee because our esteemed General Manager was an apology at that meeting. So they were that upset that the esteemed General Manager wasn't at the meeting. They wanted to postpone it, but we went ahead and got through the agenda. But they rated Mr. Nankivell very, very highly, and his presence at the meeting was missed.
Right, there you go. I wasn't, obviously.
They only mentioned the General Manager, I'm afraid.
All
But they
those
were
in-
the independent members as well.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5 is the Draft Agency Information Guide. We have a mover for that. Moved councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Boland. Councillor Allgate.
No comment. It's all in the report.
Yeah.
Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you. Item number 6, investment report for November. Councillor Boland,
Move that way.
seconded. Councillor Allgate, councillor Boland.
All written there. Obviously, there's some issues over in the States with some maybe a recession in the new year. The Australian dollar's up against the US dollar, which is good. That should take the pressure off our interest rates and hopefully make a local mine even more good looking for a potential buyer if that Australian dollar's in the right place.
For sure. All those in favour? Carry unanimously. Item number 7 is a suspension of the alcohol prohibited area, Perfect Light Film Festival.
Recommendation.
Moved councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gallagher. Councillor Allgate.
Oh, there's nothing much to say about it except that what's it called now? Film Festivals Australia have made application to the council, and the council's given approval in principle for the planning to commence. And it's limited, the alcohol-free component of it is limited to a small marquee area, which will be policed and by security and whatever. And no changes apply to anywhere else within the Sturt Park on the night. And it seems to be mainly for the purposes of entertaining the VIP visitors associated with the Film Festivals Australia group. So I don't see anything wrong with the recommendation that it be approved.
Councillor Gallagher, in respect to that. Could we also, while that is going on, because it is going to be advertised, that the actual event itself be advertised strongly? It is a really good event, and it's an important event that needs to grow. What tends to happen, a lot of people that you do see at the park, they say they weren't aware of it until very close to the night, and a lot of people actually miss it. So I think while we advertise that about the alcohol zone, we also, or the suspension of the alcohol zone, we also at the same time promote the event itself.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
The way I read it, this recommendation is approval for the planning to commence.
Yeah.
At some future stage, will there be a decision on whether or not, in actual fact, the removal of the prohibition for that particular purpose be approved by the council?
So it's been approved before, and it happens it has been at the Civic Centre.
Yeah.
It was good at the Civic Centre. It's much better at the park.
Yeah.
But there is a VIP area that includes the consumption of alcohol. The numbers could be a lot more if it was advertised a lot better, is more or less what I'm saying, as opposed to if we're going to oppose it by the suspension of the alcohol, at the same time, we need to let people know that the event itself is on at the same time. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 8 is the local traffic committee meeting. Councillor Brown's not here. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Gallagher?
I'll move that way.
Seconded, Councillor Chandler. Councillor Gallagher?
No, it's before us.
Yeah. Yeah. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 9 is the action list. Councillor Gallagher?
Yes, I'll move that.
Seconded. Councillor Holgate, any comments?
Just the greens looking better, but we'd like to get rid of the yellow. No red, which is good, but
Yeah.
all greens better. It means we're progressing very much so.
It does look like a lot of green, a lot more green than yellow as opposed to the last meeting. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from the previous meeting. Do we have a mover for that?
I'll move the questions be received, and I'd like to add a point 2 based on some of the information that's come through from those questions on notice.
Yep.
And given the sort of information that's come back in the emails regarding Shorty O'Neill, quite frankly, the reports are concerning. The reports are concerning in the actions of former General Manager James Roncon and former Mayor Winston Kai regarding a signed contract of sale of the Shorty O'Neill Village without council approval, without a motion, at some $850,000 below the value of the buildings, and it was taken during caretaker mode, is quite frankly concerning. Former General Manager Roncon and James Roncon and former Mayor Turley and current councillor transferred Shorty O'Neill Village to a new entity on the 22nd of the 11th, 2016. This is all in emails. It was all kept very hush-hush and quiet. And this was done without the knowledge of the newly elected council. So based off the information that's come to light, particularly around those emails, I'd like point 2 to be that the council writes to the Office of Local Government to report this matter, which could be misconduct by the previous council with the regard to the act over the secretive sale of Shorty O'Neill Village.
So you're saying you want to write to the Office of Local Government to inform them of a possible breach to sell Shorty O'Neill Village without a resolution to sell it by private treaty at below the agreed value or the value sought by council, and that it was done during caretaker mode.
Yes, yes, definitely. That's exactly the wording, and yeah, and it's quite concerning reading through those emails. It's quite concerning. Many debate has been had in this chamber over the last few meetings, and these emails even raise even more concern. And I think it's now time that the Office of Local Government step in and have a look exactly what was happening during that period.
We have a seconder for that. Seconded, Deputy Mayor Hickey. I'd also like to say that under the Local Government Act, we do have a requirement to report that sort of thing. I don't know if the General Manager has an actual clause that would require the council to do that.
Yeah, I have to take the clause on notice, Mr. Mayor, but any breaches of Local Government Act or the regulations is a self-reporting disclosure to the Office of Local Government for their investigation.
Yeah, thank you. So I appreciate that, Councillor Boland, because we are bound by the Local Government Act to actually report that as soon as we become aware of that. One of the things that was was very concerning for me when reading the emails is this exact line. It is highly recommended at the time that these details of the sale are not discussed or commented on publicly, as by doing so, the sale could be jeopardised, or in the event a sale does not proceed, council could be embarrassed. Even once contracts are signed, I feel it would be in good taste for the identity of the buyer to be disclosed by them and not by council. However, it's up to the judgment of councillors for the process. The purchase price, the purchaser or the purchase price not be given. So what can be seen by that correspondence was at the time, the council of 2016, before the election, was worried that the council candidates that were running at the time to stop the election would get elected and potentially stop that. Very disappointing that Councillor Turley went on ABC radio and stated she saw no problem with the way it had been handled. Quite obvious from those emails, it was kept a secret right up after the contracts were signed, and then still instead of righting what was wrong by doing this without a resolution and during caretaker mode, the then Mayor Daria Turley, current councillor, signed a transfer on the 22nd of the 11th. We need the Office of Local Government to come back with us with the ruling so the community can be happy that this process and this council is completely open about what we do. We have any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Allgate, you wanted to bring something up at this stage as well?
The public forum questions from the last meeting. I'd just like to move a motion, if it's permissible, in respect to the question that Don Moody raised at the last council meeting regarding the council crest.
Yeah, fine, Councillor Allgate.
Yeah. I'd like to move very little difference to what's already written, with the exception item 1, that council's traditional crest be introduced as council's official logo for both the city and the elected council, that the crest be featured on all items related to council law or civic matters, including written council correspondence, attire, awards and certificates. Item 2, that the existing hexagon branding on current fleet, plant, signage be replaced with the crest at the time of renewal, and that all new fleet, plant and signage obtained in the future display the council crest. That, and item 3, that the current hexagon logo be retained for administrative use, such as staff uniforms and administrative correspondence. It just makes it firmer.
Yeah. Councillor Page, happy to second that?
Yes, Mr Mayor, thank you.
You like to speak to that, councillor Allgate?
Well, thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I've been in favour of this, and I was against the changing of it originally. I think it's traditionally, there's no doubt about it, that the original council crest, I think designed by Fred Jobson quite some years ago, is typical. It designates the things that Broken Hill is famous for. Whereas the logos that we've used, and there's been a multiple of them over the period of years, and there's been different logos for different units within the council, which I've always thought was wrong. There should be one official logo, and that logo should be the crest. As I said before, the crest details or indicates what Broken Hill has historically always been about and still is about, and is a far better image logo than those that are currently in train. The hexagon logo is fine, and as the general manager has pointed out, to change the hexagon logo for administrative purposes and so on would be would incur significant cost over a period of time and might cause some confusion. So I think leave the hexagon one as it is, and it'll be retained for administrative uses such as correspondence and uniforms and the like, and the rest will be by the crest. And I think the public will approve of it. You know, I doubt whether you'd get anybody in the street that would be unhappy about a reintroduction of the original traditional crest.
It still remains the property of council, so we're able to proceed with that really quite quickly. Councillor Page, would you like to comment?
Just to support what Councillor Allgate has said, and how all these changes came in, it was over a long time frame. Management came and said, look, we need something for tourism. We need something for this. We need something. That's how it's all crept in. So people need to understand how it occurred, and I'm happy to see that you've shown the leadership to put it back to what it always should be.
Yes, I do remember, Councillor Page. It started off with a tourism promotion with a little kangaroo with a little swipe through it. It was to look more for sale of tourism. That slowly then replaced our official coat of arms and our official insignia on our documents. Once that happened, then we saw some of the other corporate ones that come on, but it all started from a tourism promotion. All those in favour? Oh, just before we do, I just like to say Don Moody will be over the moon. So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, questions taken on notice. Do we have any questions for the next meeting? No. Questions arising from item on the agenda. So, Neil, question. Oh, actually, sorry, what was that? Item 2. Oh, that was the public forum. So that item 2. Can we have a mover? That was part of that. They said that was received.
Move that way.
Yeah, no, that was done with your motion received. Question 17 is, do we have any questions for the next meeting? No. Item number 18 is the public forum. Mr. Cools? No. Merry Christmas anyway. And Merry Christmas to everyone listening, the press and everyone here tonight. We move to confidential matters. We have one item, I'm not sure, 2 items. So we have a mover to go in confidential session. There's only 2, it should be pretty quick. Moved, Councillor Deputy Mayor Hickety, seconded Councillor Gallagher. You have to leave, sorry.